whether or not our democracy is being undermined.
Exactly. Well, we begin now with the Fox News Alert. It's a showdown in the Sunshine State as we approach the deadline to turn in the final vote tally in Florida.
This is new questions surface about what top election officials in the state are doing with provisional ballots.
Our own Doug McElway is live in Broward County with the latest. Doug, good morning.
Good morning, Pete. And on the subject of open and transparent government, we have just learned that the reporters will be allowed into the Supervisor of Election headquarters directly behind me. This is the back end of it where they pull the trucks in and out here to deliver and take out ballots, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to be allowed in there to witness the canvassing of these provisional ballots. Provisional ballots, of course, ballots that have not passed muster. Perhaps it's the wrong address with the wrong name, too illegible to read, or perhaps the voter cast the ballot in the wrong precinct. They're all cast aside or put aside until they're determined to be legitimate or not. But in the meantime, let's take a look at the latest numbers right now. In the Florida Senate race, Governor Rick Scott is at 50.1%. Bill Nelson, the sitting senator, Democrat, 49.9%, only 0.2 percentage points separate the two. In the governor's race, Republican Ron DeSantis at 49.6%, Andrew Gillum, the Democrat, at 49.2%. That as the canvassing board members face a noon deadline today to provide those provisional ballots. But we understand that there are ballots that still have not been counted, including 2,100 mail-in ballots, a handful of early ballots, as well as military and overseas ballots. The governor's race is so close that if it is within 0.50 percentage points of one another, it triggers an automatic machine recount. If it's 0.25 of a percentage point difference between the two, it triggers a hand recount, which will take a considerable amount of time. We understand the deadline for completing that is November 18th. So we're going to be stuck in this for the foreseeable future for another 8 days at the very least. Meanwhile, Supervisor of Elections here, Brenda Snipes, is coming under fire for more irregularities which occurred last night. I'll let you guys get into that because she has a long history of it. But nevertheless, the voters of Broward County continue to re-elect her year after year for 4-year terms, beginning in 2008, 2012 again, and 2016 again. She still sits in office and is under tremendous fire today. Back to you.
Enjoy the weather there, Doug. Might get used to it.
It's about all.
I'll be down there for a while.
I think about Scott Walker on election night. He's obviously the governor of Wisconsin. He loses by about 30,000 votes. He obviously could have said, I want more. I want to recount. I'm the governor. I'm going to maneuver. No, he said, look, I lost fair and square. Yeah. And it's quite different than what we're seeing in Florida, where there seems to be all this maneuvering, ballots being found, this video we showed an hour or so ago of truckloads of ballots showing up. Where were these ballots on Tuesday?
Ballots transported in private vehicles to these trucks, putting into question the chain of custody, which is a very serious problem, and there are very specific rules about the way that ballots are handled. Big questions about that, but one person who is not answering many of those questions is Broward County Supervisor Elections, Brenda Snipes. Listen to this.
Can you just update us where things are on the count right now? Just in general.
Could I please get a moment to go into the room and find out?
Sure.
Okay. When I come back, I'll let you know.
It is now Thursday. We are still counting ballots in Broward County. 5
pages or 6 pages for each of the people who voted.
But other counties have been able to do it.
But other counties didn't have 600,000 votes out there.
Well, Miami-Dade did.
Well, have you been inside Miami? Never mind. Let me go check. I'll check.
Excuses.
About to say, have you been inside my office, and realize, wait, that would be inviting the reporters in to actually investigate what's going on. She stopped herself. She stopped herself.
And the reason she's defensive is she's got a lot to be defensive about. Here's just a small list of the many that we could put on the screen of different things she has faced or she has done while being in charge of Broward County in elections. May 2018, unlawful ballot destruction in the Debbie Wasserman Schultz primary race, and also in August of 2018, absentee ballots opened in private, which you're not supposed to do. 2016 early voting results posted online before polls were closed, and 2016 accused of having more voters on the rolls than were eligible.
So
in 2012, 1,000 uncounted ballots found a week after the election. 2004, 58,000 mail-in ballots not delivered. She's asking for patience. People are saying you've had this job for 15 years, and it's still a disaster.
So you're saying in one previous election, her website posted the results before the polls had closed.
Correct.
So now they're saying count all the votes. At that time, they didn't count the votes. They just said, oh, we won.
They said this is the count. Yeah,
that's right. This is the count.
And as you said, Katie, last hour, she's admitted that non-citizens vote in the county. More votes than voters. They won't purge the voter rolls. You told me there's folks that have been dead for 100 years.
114 years still on the voter rolls. She's been sued for not cleaning up those rolls. But someone who lives in Florida, Dan Bongino, was with us on the show a little earlier, and he says that Snipes should be removed from office by the incoming governor.
She had one job as the election supervisor. Just count the votes. She doesn't even know how many total votes are outstanding. The State Board of Elections has to oversee this election from this point on. The Secretary of State has to come in and take a look at this. And when Governor DeSantis is sworn in, she has to be removed from office. You screwed it up. You got to go.
Hey, well said. As you know, we have a brain room here at Fox that finds us neat facts from time to time. Well, in November of 2016, Fair Vote, they're a nonpartisan group that looks at elections. They looked at all 27 recounts of statewide elections that have happened since 2000. All have been wins for Democrats. 3 have been reversed. So 3 of the 23 changed in outcome, one of which we had on the program earlier. We had Senator Norm Coleman, who lost to Al Franken in 2008. And he said the lawyers descended. He thought he could play Minnesota nice and just get all the ballots counted. They started applying different standards in Minneapolis, in Democratic safe places, than they did in Republican places. If you're not smart, if the lawyers don't get there and get aggressive to abide by the law, they've found ways to change outcomes.
Here's the problem. They can't count all the votes. It should be count all the legitimate votes.
The legal votes, correct.
Yeah, the legal ones, not the ones that appear days later.
Or maybe not ones that appear in trucks that maybe not.
Yeah, or they've got the wrong signatures.
Need to be validated.
That kind of stuff.
But speaking of elections, big issues on the ballot this week. President Trump won 2016 by focusing on the middle class. And now there are many people arguing that Republicans should try to become the middle class. J.D. Vance was on with us earlier, and he had this to say about that.
Democrats are doing especially well in upper crust suburbs, and Republicans are doing especially well in middle class suburbs, the sorts of places, frankly, that I grew up. And I don't think Republicans should run from that fact. It is definitely the case that I think the future of the Democratic Party is it's going to become more and more upscale. I think Republicans should own that fact. We should try to become the middle class party. The reason that President Trump won in 2016 is because he recognized some really big problems that a lot of elites from both the left and the right had ignored. He realized that manufacturing jobs had really gone overseas and hammered a lot of important communities. He realized that wages for the average worker had been declining or stagnant for a very long time. I think Republicans got to own the solutions to those problems.
So I look forward to the Washington Post follow-up. Last weekend, we were on the couch holding up the Post and the New York Times that had the same word, verdict. They were previewing the midterms by saying voters set to render fresh verdict on Trump, president's agenda at center of fight. Well, guess what? The verdict is in. I look forward to the stories about the verdict, which is that, yes, the president and his party lost the House, but by far less seats than predicted in terms of a blue wave.
And half of Obama.
Half of that Obama lost in his first midterm. And the president didn't just hold on to the Senate. He increased his majority. We'll see how much based on Arizona and Florida, but increased his majority, which is a big, big deal. Bucking the historical trend. So if the president, there was a verdict about to be issued on the president.
Yeah.
Are you holding your breath? Because I might get a little worried about that.
I'm not sure they're going to come up with it. You're right.
But JD's words are really wise. Middle America is the majority of America. It's a diverse cross-section. You've got Middle American whites and blacks and Hispanics. The Middle American values are the majority in this country. If the left wants to be the party of the elites and the super rich, which they purport to not like, they're going to be in serious electoral trouble.
Well, President Trump campaigned for these candidates on the economy, and the economy affects everyone, no matter what your gender, skin color, or what your job is. So.
Absolutely.